This morning on Today's Health, two mothers fighting against a rare and deadly disease.
This family was devastated when 3 of its 4 children were diagnosed with Niemann Pick type C, a cholesterol metabolizing disorder which is fatal. Michael Parseghian died in 1997. His little sister Krista in 2001. The third child, Marcia, is now 16 years old, and she courageously keeps up her dancing lessons. Their grandfather is Andrea Parseghian, Notre Dame's legendary football coach. 11 years ago, the family established a medical research foundation to fight this disease.
Cindy Parseghian heads up the foundation. Andrea Marella, whose daughter Dana and son Andrew have been diagnosed with this disease, also started a foundation called Dana's Angels to help find a cure. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Cindy, first of all, I'm struck by something you talked about in terms of when you discovered that your children were carrying this disease. You said, quote, "I felt incredibly lucky. We had these 4 beautiful children. I thought we were on top of the world. This disease came out of nowhere."
Correct.
For you. How do children get it?
It's a genetic disease where children are born with it, but it usually doesn't show symptoms until early school years. Kindergarten, first grade, they have symptoms that maybe they're a little slow on the playground, maybe they have a little slow speech, a little slurred, and that's how we first saw in our son Michael.
Both parents have to be carriers.
Correct.
And that's something you found out after you found out that your children were diagnosed.
Right.
You know, when you started this and I understand you started your foundation just 2 months after your children were diagnosed.
Correct.
And when you did that, no one really had anywhere to turn when they had children with this disease. And so when you went public, people started turning to you. And Andrea, you were someone who
Yes.
turned to Cindy.
Yes.
How did that connection help you deal with the suffering of your 2 children who've now been diagnosed?
Right. Well, when Dana was diagnosed 3 years ago, she was 8 years old, and we had read about the disease, and we heard that children with it don't really live into their early teens, and we were devastated. So we contacted Cindy, and I think after a conversation with her, I really gained some strength to go on and make a difference. So after a few months of grieving, my husband and I created Dana's Angels Research Trust, our foundation, and we named it after Dana because we wanted to personalize it in our community, and our community has come forward amazingly.
They're outside now. We saw Dana right in the middle, and your son Andrew.
And Andrew is 5, he just turned 6, and he was diagnosed last year.
To know that your children have something that for which there is no cure, and not just one child at a time, but in your case 2, in your case 3. You have 2 children, you've lost a child, 16-year-old, who has it. It's unfathomable, but you have directed all of your efforts to finding a cure, paying for research. This is your, and you're thinking it doesn't just help this rare group of children.
Well, at this point, Anne, I understand what it means to hold a child that has lost their battle to Niemann Pick. But on the other hand, I've met many children that are affected with the disease but aren't showing symptoms. They've been diagnosed at birth now because of some of the education we've done for physicians. And it's for those children that we can still make a difference. We can impact their life, and that's why we carry on.
You taught your daughter, Marcia.
Marcia.
How is she doing?
She's fairly impaired. She's wheelchair bound. She has a feeding tube. She has seizures. But she has a set of friends that hold her up and bless her with so much friendship and love.
And that steals you, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. So much.
The first child you lost, Michael, he loved the lyrics of a song that Garth Brooks sang.
Yes.
The lyrics go something like, "I could have missed the pain, but I would have missed the dance." You don't regret, of course, having and loving these children, but to parents, to people who are going to become parents, do you have any recommendation about getting tested early? Is there a way to know whether they're carriers before they're in this situation?
It's harder to test if it's not in your family already. It can be done, but it requires a genetic testing similar to other diseases such as Tay-Sachs.
Recently you had a fundraiser with your organization to honor the Parseghians for what they have done, and you had a lot of celebrities.
We did. Richard Dreyfuss volunteered to perform for us, and I contacted Regis and Joy Philbin and Kathy Lee and Frank Gifford, and they responded immediately. And it was a wonderful gala, and Kathy Lee and Frank, in fact, were so emotionally moved after meeting Dana that you could tell on stage that she said every child deserves a childhood, and she compared Dana to her Cassidy and thought it's just not fair.
What do you want to say this morning about the power that you two have harnessed? I mean, I look at you and you are in such grief, and yet you are strong, you are here, you're trying to do something about it, inspired by Cindy. And look at, I mean, Cindy, what you've been through. And here you are standing up and saying, we have got to do something and we will not stop.
Right.
But Ann, we are a small family, and we have friends and family and other families that hold us up and keep us going. So it's not just us. Believe me, it is tremendous volunteer support that makes our foundation viable.
Well, hopefully the word has gotten out this morning. It's a pleasure and honor, really, to meet the both of you.
Thank you.
And we wish you every luck in the years ahead,
Thank you.
especially with your research funding.
Yes, thank you.
And if you'd like some more information on all of this, you can go to our website at today.msnbc.com. And we're back in just a moment, but first, this is Today on NBC.